tell.
Hello.
Use the force, Luke.
What you talking about, Marcia.
What's up now?
Spider friends, go for it.
Transform and roll out.
And I'll form the head. That's what she said.
Don't!
Hey, this is Jonathan.
And this is Alan, and welcome to the NerdInMePodcast. Jonathan, what are we talking about today?
Alan, today we're talking about WandaVision, Episode 6. All new Halloween Spooktacular.
What'd you think of this video?
I liked it a lot. The episode, I liked it a lot. Again, I was watching it like with a furrowed brow, just overthinking every line, every picture I saw. So, and I rewatched it. It's a good episode. It's I feel like it's answering questions, but just not directly. So I'm like, oh, what's going on here? Like, I think we're at the point. It's episode 6 of 9, so we only have 3 episodes left after this one. So I think like the writers and stuff are giving us answers, but just not directly. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's a feeling I got. This episode is one of those, a lot of cool things, but I think this is probably the first time watching it where the little hidden secrets were just a little bit more obvious than the previous ones, you know. But with WandaVision, it's a fun show to watch twice. You know, you watch it for the first time and you're just like, ooh, you know, I caught that, or what's going on, and then you're like you, right? Your mind's racing, trying to like, because everything has a meaning. Almost everything out of their mouth. It's like
right.
you're
and
latching
every
on
prop,
to.
you know what I mean? Like everything in the background.
Oh yeah, your brain's
you know,
actively on fire.
Yeah, because set decorators and stuff, they'll be told to put things there on purpose, you know.
Yeah, and then when you watch it a second time, it's so much more enjoyable just to like sit back and like, okay, you know, brain turn off your analytical side and just enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah.
And yeah, this was a cool episode. But again, definitely a lot of the references this time were just more blatant versus super obscure from the first, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 episodes.
Right. Well, and I think you're seeing, and maybe it started last week, but it's very obvious this week. You know, you think about the first 2 episodes, and they were played off as like straight up like 50s and 60s comedies, whereas now it's, you know, we always talked about an underlying weirdness in those first couple of episodes, like an unsettledness we would have from watching it, but now it's just like out there.
Yeah.
You know, because there's people in the story actively asking kind of the questions we're asking, you know.
Yeah.
So now you're like, all right, now we're gonna get down to some answers here.
I would say the last episode, you know, what we talked about when the credits were rolling, that's probably the most uncomfortable I felt. You know, where this feels like a more serious kind of show,
right?
And this one was very straightforward. You know, I don't, there wasn't anything here where I was like, you know, a lot of cool things, but none of those like, oh my gosh, like what's going on kind of moments.
Right. And it's like there's dialogue in the story in the episode that kind of works around our questions. Like, you know, I'm kind of answering it, but I'm not. You know, like,
Well, so let's build upon that. Is there anything after watching today, have any of your thoughts changed at all?
I'm leaning
or confirmed. How about that?
I wouldn't say confirmed. The thing is this: that when you have theories, right, and you want them to be true, when you see something that kind of is opposed to that theory, my instinct is like, oh, that's a red herring. They're trying to throw me off the set. When it could just be, no, this is what we're telling you. So, like, I still want to hold firm that Agnes might be a bad guy and related to the big bad. But it could be she's an ally of Wanda's. You know, I'm curious about what happened to her in this episode. I'll tell you what, if anything's more confirmed, I think Mephisto or some form of quote unquote the devil is involved in this, has something to do with what's going on here.
Yeah.
I mean, Pietro's just some of the things he says and the way he acts. I don't think, remember when Pietro knocked on the door last week, Wanda said, I didn't do that. I still think that he's talking like she brought him there, but I think someone else brought her there. Brought Peach there.
Yeah. I agree with you. It's when it comes to Agnes, I think last episode we both said something like, when Vision's coworker says, she's hurting me, and we both said, well didn't necessarily mean Wanda.
Right.
And then I agree with you. It's like I I want it to be Agnes, but then after watching this episode, boy, she really plays as off that it's not her, but you know that she's involved somehow. Yeah.
There's she's definitely manipulating circumstances. I think she killed the dog or had something to do with the dog dying to kind of get Wanda to maybe bring it back to life. And I think this is the thing.
You mean like testing her? Just to see.
Yeah. Like, is this? It has something to do with. We think the kids are involved in it too. Like, all this is happening because they needed this. It has something to do with bringing something or someone back to life or something like that. You know what I mean? Like using her powers to bring back someone or something. So where's I going with this? So Agnes, I'm just curious, when Vision is walking around town, which is, first of all, it's great that the further away they get from Wanda's influence, the more they're just kind of like, frozen, but they're waiting. See, people took that as, I did watch some YouTube things after this. I broke my own rule, but some people took that as, Wanda's influence doesn't stretch that far. So, but I took it as, well, they're like actors waiting. Like they're in that spot. Like if Wanda were to wander down that block, they'd all start moving and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when Vision tries to talk to some of them, they ignore him. Why does Agnes talk to him? And she was pretty far away because she was at the border, right?
Yeah.
And then it brings up. She brings up in a couple of episodes earlier that Geraldine, who was Monica, didn't have a house there, which makes you think that she had a house there. But then she gets lost in this town. And the Vision says, "But you grew up here." So is she from there? Does she have a house, or is she not from Westview?
Well, based on what you just said about Agnes and the dog, now I think in my brain this is how I'm seeing things. So thank you for your insight. With Agnes doing something with the dog. Now I'm curious. Now I think this whole time I was thinking Agnes is in cahoots with somebody else, whether it's Mephisto or Nightmare or whatever. But now I'm thinking Agnes is separate. She's there, but she's not in conjunction with Mephisto or the if you had to think of it like a big bad, right? Because all the while I thought they're all working together, but now I'm thinking, after what you just said, I wonder if Agnes is there, kind of like, not the Yoda of like Wanda, but an ally to some degree, where she's there, she can't really influence, but she's also a witch, so she can break free a little bit, and maybe she's there to assist Wanda, to guide her or protect her or something against a bigger threat. Because I just have a hard time believing you picking that actress as being a villain. Even like in other TV series, she's like in Parks and Rec, she was like the I think it was the senator's advisor that was running against Leslie Knope.
Well, she was like a campaign manager. Yeah.
Right, yeah, exactly. And so it's so like she was opposition, but at the same time she was also a friend.
Right? I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so like now I'm thinking, I wonder if that's the case here, because how does she play that role of being the bad guy, but in every episode she doesn't really, I guess, bring harm to Wanda at all. If anything, it's the opposite. She's always the one that's there helping her. Like with the dinner in the beginning of the episode, the first episode, or the doghouse, and
right.
Things like that. And she seemed just as shocked when Vision wakes her up. Like Avengers, and he's like, "What's an Avenger?" That was a cool scene, by the way. Yeah. So I'm thinking now. I wonder if it's more of like 3 different entities going on here. Because now I'm thinking. Maybe she, like you said, testing her, like testing Wanda about the dead dog. Like, can she really like bring people back from the dead? Like she didn't know, maybe that's a test, kind of.
Yeah, we're all assuming she's the one that brought the Vision back. I mean, we know she stole the body. We're all assuming she brought Pietro back, but he doesn't look like him. So, again, I just think the level of power she's exhibiting is way off the charts even for her. And I was saying, I wrote it down in my notes. I'm like, when she extends the barrier at the end, her eyes turn red. Did her eyes turn red in the movies? I don't remember that.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. So let's kind of rewind and go back to the beginning. So it opens. We're in the 90s, which is about right. Last week was the 80s, so we're in the 90s. They do a Malcolm in the Middle type opening. The kids talking to the camera, the shaky cam opening and stuff like that, and the loud kind of rock pop music intro. So we're firmly in the 90s, and it's Halloween for whatever reason. Who knows what the date is outside? But it's Halloween, and which kind of makes sense because in the 60s it was August 23rd. Remember? Mm-hmm. I loved that they're all in their comic book accurate costumes. I think Wanda looks great. I think Vision, well, except for the boxer shorts, he should have. I guess I didn't want to give him the tidy whities.
I also like how she says, like, she actually justifies what her look is. A Socorvian gypsy or something, a fortune teller. So, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I like how subtle, and it actually works. It actually makes sense.
Yeah. And we see, and the best part was when Pietro takes his nephew and they get costumes, and it's his blue costume from the comics. But the best part was his hair, and he did his hair up in that crazy way. It's so funny because in the comic books, you never think twice about it.
Right.
But then you see it in real life. It's like, oh, that's even Wanda's costume, which is very screen accurate. I mean, very comic book accurate. I don't know that they tried to, at least early comic book. It's it's not leather. It's not, like supposed to be like body armor or anything. It's the fabric, and you kind of think like, oh yeah, that would look silly in real life.
They did that in Captain America: First Avenger, where oh god, the director's name escapes me, but
Johnson.
Right, and he purposely put Cap. Remember, he was doing all those like PR stuff as Captain
USO
America.
Shows,
yeah, he purposely put Cap in that real comic book accurate outfit just to prove to the viewers how ridiculous it is, because he said that's on the director's cut, that he was going to get flack of why did he change it so drastically, and he said, well, I wanted to show the viewers that it doesn't work in the movies. I was like, oh, that's pretty
well, fun thing is,
brilliant.
I don't know that it was changed drastically. Not to get a point, I think it made sense where it's very, it's leather, and the helmet A was because of the the girls were wearing the USA helmets, and and they kind of teased them about the Avengers Captain America costume because it was kind of designed by Coulson, who's a fanboy.
Right. Yeah.
So that was probably his second most brightest comic booky costume, was the Avengers.
And it looked terrible too.
It did look terrible. Yeah. But but just think about the hair. It's like, because Wolverine has that kind of hair, and it would have been funny if they did that in the Wolverine movie. And Norman Osborn always had a crazy hairstyle, where it
you didn't
like
think Hugh Jackman's hair was comic book accurate?
Not like.
Oh, I thought it was pretty close. If you watch the whip of his hair, even you can see it in the action figures. It's pretty spot on. It actually looks like, you know what it is. Hugh Jackman's been playing this role for so long. It's like I don't even notice it anymore.
Well, maybe that's it.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was a good scene with the kids. So what did you? Oh, and Billy was dressed in his Wiccan costume from the comic book. So I watched a YouTube where a guy, I guess he doesn't read the comic books, he's like, oh, I thought the kid was supposed to be dressed as Doctor Strange. How did he get the headband though?
Oh.
The headband is what, as Wiccan, he wears a headband, he wears a cape. So I thought all that was pretty cool.
You know what's neat? Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
What I do, like you mentioned about the costume of the kids and everything, I do really appreciate Disney referencing back comic books, because and you did a YouTube video on the comic books, and the reason why I think that's important is you and I did a podcast. My mind doesn't work anymore, but of the fall of comic books, And it's nice that they're referencing back to comic books. Like, this is like where all this actually came from. These are where all the ideas came from, all the magic, all the mystery. You know, this wasn't created by Kevin Feige. This wasn't created by Disney. You know, all these fantastic stories are literally lifted from the comic books. And I really do appreciate that they really, man, the reason why you and I are going gaga over this, because we did read comic books, you know, and it's so much fun that they're going back to comic books where they never really did in the movies. You know, it was the movies, it was their history, I mean, their take on it. But this is literally saying, hey guys, this is from the comic books, whether you like it or not. And I do like that. And you're right, the costumes were comic book accurate. The kids look like they were lifted, like the costumes were exactly from the comic book. So I do appreciate it. I think it's a wonderful nod to comic book fans, where I would say comic books have just been, from my point of view, like on the downfall, where I know a lot of people still love comic books, but to me it's kind of dying. But it's nice that they really show where all the creativity is actually coming from, all the real source material. So I'm sorry, what were you saying?
That's right. No, I was going to say also that, you know, it's one of the strengths of Marvel, and maybe this is Kevin Feige's superpower, is that he can distill the comic books and the comic book stories to what people love about them. And it's not the hokey, not that they're hokey. I mean, I love some of these costumes, but it's not the costumes. It's not the over the top villains or the over the top heroes. Truth, Justice, America. And it's what they did with the Superman movie too. Is like they know what's underneath that. I think when a lot of people make comic book movies, they just look at, you know, how do we make a comic book movie not silly? And I think Marvel and Feige probably go, well, we're going to keep what makes comic books good and just translate that and update it. So yeah, Captain America isn't wearing his regular costume, but it's enough where you're not sitting there for 2 hours like, oh, but Cap doesn't wear that. You know what I mean? It's not a clear shield and a motorcycle helmet with wings on it like in the 70s. You know, look, Spider-Man's costume, I don't think any of his costumes have looked exactly like the comic book costume yet, Tom Holland's costumes, but we accept it because we understand. So just, I think that's the strength of Marvel and why they're so successful. And they do harken back to the comics when they can. And you're right, they didn't, you know, they take these really good stories and they update them and fit them into the cinema world. You know, look, Infinity War is Infinity Gauntlet, we know that. But they took out the superlative stuff and they left in the good stuff and they made it their own. So yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying.
Oh, thank you.
So yeah, we have them dressed up. We have Vision, which I definitely wrote down. I wrote, well, first of all, you have Quicksilver saying, they both remember a Halloween differently, and he says something along the lines of, "You're probably suppressing a lot of trauma." He says it to Wanda. Quicksilver says it to Wanda, and I'm like, that means something. Or no, it literally means what it means. Like, hey, people watching, Wanda is suppressing a lot of trauma. That's why some of this is happening. Yeah. And I asked again, who brought Quicksilver? I don't think this is Wanda. Wanda has too many questions for him.
Right.
And he's acting, when Vision acts out of character, Wanda kind of like starts to question him or wonders why. When Quicksilver does things that Wanda doesn't like or doesn't approve of, she doesn't question it in the sense of, he should be doing what I want him to do. Because that's the sense you get when Vision does it. She's like, why isn't Vision doing what I want him to do? Or that little passive aggressive comment like, this costume was the only thing in my closet. And she kind of stopped. I was like, oh, he's getting sassy with me.
So when they did that like mini scene where Wanda's talking to Quicksilver, and for a brief second you see his dead body with the bullet holes. That's when I was thinking, shoot, maybe this is his brother, but it's manifesting as somebody else. Because why would an alternate universe Quicksilver have that? Because it's the second time we've seen a dead body, right? With Vision and now Quicksilver. So why would a an alternative universe Quicksilver have that look to him of being dead with the bullet holes of something Wanda's her universe brother would have.
Right. Well, I thought about that, and I came up with two different things. I came up with it's kind of like a PTSD where she just kind of flashes and sees them and remembers them the last time she remembered them.
Okay.
Okay. So she flashes on Vision and just remembers him being dead. Like, and that shocks her. And then she flashes on Quicksilver and remembers him being dead. The other thing is, all right, this is a stretch. So going on the thesis that Mephisto is the big bad or some kind of demon. And it's a demon that wants to walk the earth in immortal form. Okay. He thinks Wanda, if manipulated correctly, can bring back the dead for real. He can only maybe reanimate bodies, right? So maybe the Vision is still dead, and that's gross as it might be. It's Quicksilver's dead body, but she's projecting onto both of them, right? But it doesn't work outside the sphere of influence. So this Mephisto or whomever is trying to manipulate it so that Wanda can make it permanent. So he might only be able to do it in a zone. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And he thinks Wanda's powerful enough to do it for real, which is also about giving birth to the kids. So can Wanda bring back the dead for real? Whereas maybe this guy can animate the bodies and cast illusions or whatever so that people think they're still alive. But after they leave a certain sphere of influence, it doesn't work. Where he either needs her to bring back someone for real, or he needs her to create life that he can kind of possess, which might be the kids.
Yeah.
It's very metaphysical. I don't know if they're going to go that deep with it, especially with 3 episodes left. The worst thing can happen is that we don't get all the answers, and they're like, see Wanda in Doctor Strange Part 2. I was like, no.
Well, you might be onto something, because to create Vision, Wanda needed a host. She needed Vision's dead body for it to happen. So Wanda was created by the Soul Stone, right? Mm-hmm. So maybe that is part of her hex or whatever Wanda hex power, right? Is to create a soul for something. And so maybe she needed a host to create that dead person, and that Quicksilver, what we're seeing in this TV series is a body, but she's imbuing the soul of her dead brother into him. Soul Stone.
Yeah. Well, and even his comments, when she's like, well, how'd you get here? He goes, last time I remember is getting shot for no good reason and hearing you call for help. And I'm like, would he describe how he died as dying for no good reason? He was helping save people in Sokovia. He died saving Hawkeye and a little boy.
Well, I took that as, because he's sarcastic in this whole episode, So I took it as that. But to build on what you're talking about, when he said that, I'm like, oh, this is Wanda's real brother, But she cannot bring the physical dead body back to life, but she can imbue part of her soul power into that.
What if the body, if we think she or someone else is manipulating Vision's dead body and just kind of projecting him being alive and his personality onto him, mm-hmm. What if it's just like a random dead dude from Westview, New Jersey, that is playing the brother?
Well, she did push him into tombstones.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's creepy.
But I like that he challenges her. Like, where's your accent? Where's yours?
Yeah.
She doesn't know. This is why I really don't think Wanda has anything to do with Quicksilver being there.
Yeah.
And I think whoever is the reason Quicksilver's there is manipulating Wanda, because he's acting like, it's like, look how powerful you are. You can do this, you can do that. No one in the show has talked to her about what she's doing, because they're all under her illusion. And Vision's slowly breaking out of it, but Quicksilver is totally not under her, and him and the kids are not under Wanda's control at all.
Hey, do we know who the bad guy is in Doctor Strange's movie? Was that ever revealed?
The second one?
Yeah, the one that's coming out.
No, it's just saying it's the multiverse of madness. So,
damn it! I'm gonna wiki this, because whoever that bad guy is gonna be the bad guy. This one, it's got. I mean, everything that we're saying right now, it's God. How can it not be Mephisto? I mean, he's deception. He's evil. You know, it's something plays with the dead or something like that. I don't know.
Well, a lot of the YouTube videos are saying it's some kind of multiversal thing, and Wanda in the comic books is a Nexus person or being or something, which means, obviously, Marvel and DC both have the multiverse exists, right? And we might see this in Spider-Man. Maybe he's tripping through the multiverse and he runs into the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, runs into the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. Wanda, as a Nexus being, and there are Nexus beings in the universe. There's probably more than one on Earth, but Wanda as a Nexus being would always be the same Wanda on every planet. So, does that make you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, is that why this person or people or entity is going after her? I don't know. I mean, they got roughly 60 minutes of show left to I don't know how they're going to do it in 3 episodes. I really don't. That's why I'm worried. Stupid Thing's not really going to have an ending. It's going to be like, stay tuned for Doctor Strange Part 2, which is like 1.5 years away.
Yeah, and I don't think we can even get any answers from Falcon Winter Soldier, because that was supposed to come up before WandaVision.
Yeah, and I just think the tone of each show is very different.
Oh, dude, you know what's so cool? I'm looking at the wiki for Doctor Strange. Did you know it's going to be directed by Sam Raimi?
Yeah.
Dude, that's... no wonder.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Tobey Maguire is totally coming back.
Well, no, he's not supposed to be in the Doctor Strange movie. He's supposed to be in the Spider-Man movie.
Well, I know, but there's a connection there.
I see.
Yeah. I read something like Tobey Maguire turned off his Twitter account for like the last 7 years, and just yesterday he flicked it back on again.
What did he tweet?
Oh, I don't remember.
Oh, well, Tom Holland goes, they are not in the movie. As far as I know, they're not in the movie. Then he pauses and goes, but to be fair, they don't tell me everything because I tend to spill secrets.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so where are we in the show now? Okay, yeah, cool interactions. It was nice and meaty. There, like I said, this one had a little more of the blatant kind of like references, kick ass and like things like that.
Did you catch the kick ass reference?
Well, yeah, I thought I was like, oh come on, that was a little too blatant.
Well, yeah, but did you know they were both in Kick Ass though?
Yeah,
both Quicksilvers were Kick Ass.
Yes,
so that's funny.
Yes.
And
they kept saying it like over and over again. I was like, I heard it once.
Twice.
Yeah, I know, but
I forgot to mention that Agnes's ass in the opening says naughty on it. So there's a hint right there.
Oh, really?
In the yoga pants. Remember the yoga pants, like said pink or whatever on the ass?
Uh-huh. And hers said naughty?
Hers said naughty.
Oh, that's cute.
She was in the refrigerator, bent over in the refrigerator. It's like the kid was filming. You're like, sneaks up on her. Plus it's naughty, yeah.
That's
Billy
cool.
just like, I'm just going through my notes to see what I forgot to mention. Yeah, so I am firmly on the side that Wanda has nothing to do with Quicksilver being there.
Okay. Yeah.
I like that Vision's getting bolder and questioning her.
Yeah. He blatantly lies to her. Oh, yeah, I'm going to go out with the guys and do like a neighborhood watch thing. And she meets up with Herb and he's like, no, we're not doing that tonight. So, I kind of like that. He's having his own mind.
He's investigating what's going on.
Yeah. Dude, that I'm going to jump ahead, dude. When he's breaking through that Wanda's barrier, that was beautiful. I mean, how that was filmed. I mean, he's a good actor. I mean,
he really is.
Yeah, I mean, to do what he does is to play Vision as he is, and I'm really glad he's able to showcase that side of him. Because you only get him for like 2 movies in the Marvel universe or so. So yeah, that scene when he's breaking through and he's saying help them, and that look on his face, and he's trying to pull forward. It's really neat. It kind of reminded me of I watched Logan. What was it, two nights ago, where when Professor X is having that seizure and Logan's like going down the hallway and he's like kind of like pulling himself through and trying to reach Professor X. It was kind of that cool scene where something's pulling you back and you're trying to go in the opposite direction. Yeah. But that was a beautiful scene.
Well, I love that when Vision comes out. I love when heroes act like heroes, Yeah. And I don't mean, punching a bad guy or saving a kid from falling off a ledge or something. When he crawls out and he's dying, like technically his last words are like, "Help help the people,
Yeah.
And I was like, dang, that's freaking Vision, man, because he's such a pure. Remember, this is a quote unquote guy that lifted Thor's hammer. One of the first things he did being alive. So he's pure, he's worthy, he's selfless. We saw him get angry. Wanda even said, "You never talked to me like this before." So this is really perplexing him, and he really needs to discover what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, he's literally seeing himself fall apart, peel apart, and he's not like, "Oh, what's going on? I need to go back." He's going forward still,
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. You want to jump to Captain Rambo and her supposedly her blood tests came back.
Yeah, so she's been through the barrier twice, once going in and once getting thrown out. And Darcy basically said you can't go through again because, it's going to keep changing. It's changing you at the cellular level, right? Is that what she said? Something like that?
Yeah.
Well, this is just her getting her powers.
But what's funny when she said that, how like Wanda's expanding like the wall. I'm like, oh, there's a mutant. Oh, there's a mutant. like I was trying to count how many people are going through this wall that's like rearranging their DNA. And like, oh, mutant right there. And then oh, great, Darcy's gonna be a mutant now too.
Well, yeah. Well, my thing was, I wrote this in my notes. I'm like, well, Billy and Tommy are now the world's first mutants because they were born with powers.
Right.
So that's interesting. I don't know. Maybe you need to go through more than once because she's got, they leave it open that Monica's going to at least go through one more time.
Right.
And some people are saying, oh, well, everybody in that town went through it once and maybe their children will be the mutants and stuff like that. I'm like, well, if she put it up like a dome, they technically didn't go through it.
Yeah, they're in it already.
Yeah, if it comes down, they don't go through the actual barrier. Then maybe all those people will be safe, all those S.W.O.R.D agents and stuff. I like that it turned into a circus, though.
Yeah. Hey, do you know what's weird? Because you know how, like, in the previous episodes, if something modern went into their world and didn't fit the time, it would change. Why did the helicopter change? I mean, there was helicopters in 1990s. It went from a helicopter to a hot air balloon. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah. Well, maybe just to kind of fit the circus motif.
Oh, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so you don't have a helicopter flying over a circus. You have a hot air balloon there.
And, I don't know, and they probably do. They probably have different directors per episode. I didn't really look, but I actually liked Agent Woo and Darcy in this one. Well, I thought Darcy was less annoying, and I thought it was, oh, how convenient. Now she's a computer hacker.
Let me tell you something. I hated that. And you can't get mad at the show because every show does this. They take the scientists and make them the scientists in every field. Because even her looking at the cellular stuff of Monica, I'm like, you're an astrophysicist. How much biology do you really have?
Right. Yeah. You're like 17, 18. I don't know.
Yeah, and she's a hacker, and she does.
He's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna hack into the last wall of S.W.O.R.D.
Right.
Who's like the ultimate government agency at that point with a laptop. And apparently I know all the computer codes to do so, but you're right, it does happen. But I did like these guys in this episode. I did like Agent Woo. I thought he didn't seem as jokey. I like that he had some fight scenes. So it's like, okay, you're proving your worth while you're actually there, versus why were you there in the first place? I don't understand how you can hang out with these guys. So I kind of like them.
Yeah, when Heyward turns around and says, "Do you work for me?" I want him to be like, "Why are you here?" Get out. But now here's the thing: a lot of these YouTube videos that I've been watching, these people think Heyward's like the big bad guy. Do you think?
I think
he's definitely got secrets.
I think okay. So if you're talking red herrings, I think he's I think he is exactly who he is. I think he's taken from he's the skeptic. He's the guy that's not happy about superheroes because of superheroes. This is what the world that we have now. We're having to deal with superhuman beings, whether they're good or bad, but because of them, we have these problems. So I think he is who he is.
Well, he talks about you weren't here the last 5 years. You don't know what we had to do to keep the lights on. So now I'm thinking oh my God, because even, the end game skips over to 5 years. Like, oh my God, what was it? I want to show on that. But remember what those 5 years were like.
In Endgame, I mean, the movie starts off very dreary. Like the world's it's desolate. And I think that's exactly what he's talking about. and the fact that because of the superheroes, because of these metahumans, he's not happy about them. It's like, if it was for him, get him away. Maybe he's the one that says no more superheroes.
So, but if he's like he's not really a spy agency like S.W.O.R.D. They do different things, but you got to remember in Endgame, Ronin or Hawkeye was going around, so crime was still a big thing, like a huge thing. So did crime increase even though there are less people on the planet? Like, is that how people? I don't know. I would like to see some kind of series of like the Left Behind people, just navigating those 5 years. Anyway, so yeah, I don't know, because I watch usually after I record these episodes with you, I'll watch the YouTube videos, except this time I watched them beforehand. And after last week's episode, I watched the YouTube videos, and a bunch of them were talking about Heyward. I'm like, I didn't even think of, like, there was nothing Heyward was doing except being annoying, I thought, that would make him the big baddie.
Yeah, I thought he was very consistent right from the get-go. I mean, he says he's an interim acting director or something like that, and apparently right from the get-go there is a history between him and Rambo. So yeah, I think he's very consistent. I there's nothing that he said that seems out of character.
I think he's got secrets, and I think because didn't she rescue the Vision's body from S.W.O.R.D?
Who? Wanda?
Wanda, yeah.
Yeah.
Remember? So, and he was in pieces. He's spread across a bunch of tables. So they were definitely studying him.
Well, they wanted to weaponize him.
Okay.
That was one of Vision's. Yeah, that was one of Vision's requests, is not to weaponize him with his technology. But yeah, I thought he was pretty consistent, and yeah.
Oh, you know what? What if it can't be Shuri, right? You don't think Monica knows Shuri, do you?
No. No, but I'm glad you brought that up.
Remember, Shuri was mapping Vision's mind, because that was the plan, for her to kind of download his personality and all that, to map it and download it so that they could take the stone out, but then she could put back the information so Vision would still be Vision, just without the stone. Yeah. Remember that was the plan, so they could destroy the stone? Yeah, I was thinking about that too. I was thinking maybe she got enough out of it, or it was able to separate enough that even though the mind stone, the soul stone was broken, right? She was able to get enough information, but not enough for Vision to understand the Avengers. It's like you got this file that like half the file is corrupt. You only got like so many files on it. Yeah. But that was pretty cool, that scene. I'm telling you, it was like, you're Vision, but you're dead. She's like, am I dead? And he's like, what the hell's going on? that was a good scene. That whole scene was good. So let's go back to that. Who do you think Monica's friend is that she was going to meet? They'll be here in an hour. We have to meet them on the ridge.
Reed Richards.
You really think they're going to intro Reed Richards, huh?
Well, aerospace engineer. I mean, he was kind of like a cosmonaut scientist. I mean, I
get that though, but don't you think we would have heard of the casting? Because we heard Pietro was going to be in it. Well, not Pietro, but we heard Evan Peters was going to be in the show. Don't you think we would have heard of casting for Reed Richards?
Dude, did you know Mark Hamill was going to show up in The Mandalorian? So I think...
I hoped. No, I see what you're saying.
Disney, the powers that be, is listening. If you squeak this, we're going to sue your booty hole. You'll never work for us again.
All right, devil's advocate. It's Reed Richards. Who's playing him? It has to be Krasinski, right?
I mean, I hope. I mean, like, and then his wife to play Sue Storm is like, wow, that's tight. But if it isn't, okay, so let's say it's not. Who would you think?
Bradley Cooper? I don't know.
Bradley Cooper?
Is he in the MCU? No, he's not in the MCU. Oh, well, but he can still do a character.
Yeah, of course he can. I don't know who would, because whenever I'm thinking nowadays when they're casting these people, like, for, like, future roles, you can't go super old, but not saying that John's old, but I actually have no idea how old he is.
all these guys are in their late 30s, early 40s, like 40s.
Yeah. So
except for Stark. Stark was probably the oldest. He was 50 something, but Chris Evans is in his 40s. Hawkeye's in his 40s. I think Thor is his late 30s.
Can you imagine if it is John Krasinski? I would lose my mind.
That'd be awesome, dude.
And if his wife Emily Blunt does Sue Storm,
what if they all show? What if all four of them show up?
With powers?
I don't know. I don't know. It's weird. The Fantastic Four. We're going off on a tangent, but
Well, it'd be funny because it is a multiverse. Chris Evans is Human Torch.
That'd be hilarious. that would pull you right out of the show, though. I think.
Yeah, it's too soon.
Oh God! But if he's the Human Torch, that means the other ones have to be back.
Oh, what if that's what you see in the multiverse? Like in Doctor Strange's movie. Hey, Cap, I'm not Steve Rogers. I'm Johnny Storm. What the hell is your,
Oh, that'd be hilarious if he makes a little. Who's Captain America? Hey, you're pretty cute. Right. And just starts hitting on Wanda.
Yeah. Oh wow, cool.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because DC did that with their TV shows. They did Crisis on Infinite Earths, and they brought back for like a quick scene almost everybody that was ever in a DC property. Like Burt Ward had a scene, and that awful Birds of Prey show that was on 20 years ago.
Did Dean Cain ever make an appearance or no?
No.
Because they got Brandon Routh to come back.
They got Brandon Routh. They got Smallville. They got him to come back. They got. I mean, they went deep. They went deep with their. They had the Titans that were on the streaming service on there real quick. Yeah, they brought back a lot of people. I was.
I wonder why no Dean Cain.
I don't know. Well, he was already on Supergirl. Supergirl's dad, so maybe they. I don't know, because Helen Slater was on it. Because Helen Slater plays Supergirl's mom, I think. So.
Yeah. Wow.
Anyway, so. Where were we? Oh yeah, so you think it's Mr. Are you like? Give me a percentage that you think it's Reed Richards.
Oh, a percentage. Well, last episode I was asking like who are the scientists? Right. Reed Richards. We brought Reed Richards, Pym, Doctor Doom. Yeah. So aerospace. It's Reed Richards. He's the only one that comes to mind.
Well, we were thinking War Machine might also have had.
Yeah, but he's not an engineer. I mean, he's not. I don't consider him on the level that they're looking for someone very particular with a particular skill set. And
it's Liam Neeson then.
Yeah, I know. When I was saying that, it's the only thing that really comes to mind. I think not unless I'm missing somebody. But I feel like we're missing something obvious. Like if it's not Reed Richards, I'm like, oh, of course it's Dr. So-and-so or this superhero. Yeah, but but my brain wants it to be Reed Richards at this point, because 2 episodes in a row they're alluding to somebody. So this has got to be, it's got to be someone in the Marvel universe.
They're being obvious about it.
They're teasing something huge, and this is the lead up. Because I did read an interview. They were asking, what the hell is her name? Wanda. What the hell? Olsen. What is her real name? Elizabeth.
No. Yeah.
Yeah. Someone asked her, "Is there going to be a Luke Skywalker moment?" And I think she alluded to like, "Yes, there is." So
maybe it's literal. Maybe Mark Hamill is.
That'd be cool. Yeah. But yeah, it sounds like it's somebody big. Well, to me, if it's not Reed Richards, and if it is. The other big name would be Michael Fassbender if it was Magneto. Like what about
the Skrull, the main Skrull from Captain Marvel? To
show up as the aerospace engineer?
Or we to believe he's in space with Fury.
Well,
no, he was on Earth. He was on Earth pretending to be Fury.
Yeah, Captain Rambo would have known who that person is too.
What I'm saying,
yeah. Well, then if it is, then that's a sucky tease. Yeah, it's a letdown.
Well, you're a Skrull. Look like Reed Richards.
Yeah, the cool show, man. I mean, like every line, everything that they say just brings up conversation, lots of intrigues. It's such a fun show.
The scene, the part I'm like, all right, it's definitely Mephisto. Like I yelled at in my house. I'm like, all right, it's definitely Mephisto. After I heard this line.
Yeah.
Let me see. I wrote it down. It's when the kids are going off on their own. Quicksilver yells something to them.
Unleash hell, demon spawns.
Yes,
I wrote that
I'm like,
down
well, there
too.
you go. Because they're literal demons. In the comic books, they turn out to be pieces of a demon's soul.
It's Mephisto, yeah.
Oh my God, Mephisto.
Yeah, and they kept mentioning the word hell.
Yeah,
in an episode too. Yeah. Like I said, at this episode, I just felt all of the little teases were a little bit more blatant, I think. But I mean, we've got to be, like you said, there's only 3 episodes left. You just can't keep having all these questions and everything's revealed in one episode. Then it's going to kind of suck. Because I want to see the repercussions of these answers.
I will say when Darcy was looking through the files, I slowed it down and watched it and paused it, and I found some file names. There's Project DF456, Project C4113, Project R4123, Project M5247, and then there's one labeled Johnson, Ray Johnson. I don't know what any of that means.
Oh, I thought you were going to give an answer.
No, I'm thinking maybe the comic book numbers were really into a comic book. I think 247 was Avengers 247. I think I have that one, and I think it relates to when Vision tried to take over the world, all the computers.
Oh, wow, master hacker. Yeah, dude. Everything on this show has all these like little Easter eggs, which is fun. But then again, I wonder like how many Easter eggs are there just to kind of like lead you to more dead ends, just more intrigue and stuff. Because there are a lot of things written on like bulletin boards, and people were kind of like deciphering what was on there, and it just really meant nothing.
Okay, so I looked up Avengers 247. In it is Vision, Scarlet Witch, and Monica as Captain Marvel. And it also features the Eternals. Dum dum dum.
Dum dum dum. Oh, very cool.
Yeah, curious.
I was telling Jonathan, was it the other day that I said I wish they make a director's cut? Like, okay, in this episode, this is what was going on, and in this episode, this was going on. Because even though we see like when they reveal the whole series, that doesn't mean we're gonna get all the answers either. Not unless someone specifically says, okay, this is what was going on in this scene. This thing is like every second it has like strong detail that you have to kind of latch onto. So I would like
well, I can't wait to watch this whole thing. I hope it holds up. I hope it's very rewatchable. I think when it's over, I'm going to rewatch it. I'll binge the whole thing. I hope it's not like this, because if you think about The Sixth Sense, after you find out the secret, you rewatch it, you notice all the little clues. Like there's red always around, I think, when the ghost is around or something like that. Just little things like that. And you notice Bruce Willis's behavior. So I wonder if when we know all the secrets or whatever, if we do a rewatch, if it'll still be enjoyable, or be like, oh, I hope it's like, oh, that was a reference, I totally missed that, So yeah. I'm wondering where the blonde is. The blonde woman we haven't seen her since
episode 2.
Yeah, and
or the children. Yeah, I thought she was a major.
They kind of made her look like she would be a big deal, right?
What if that was Mephisto? No, you're right, because she clearly confronted Wanda like you're different, like you're something else.
Right, and she's like, I'm not here to hurt anybody. She said, I don't believe you.
Right, yeah, there's something very like different about her. Yeah, I wonder how come we haven't seen her yet.
Actually, we saw her, I think, the next episode in one of the commercials where she says, like, do these earrings make me look fat?
Oh, no, your fat makes you look fat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. So next episode would be, I guess, in the 2000s, right?
Or late 90s, maybe.
Oh, you think they're going to do that? Any predictions as to what household they're going to be mimicking, or what TV show they're going to be mimicking?
My prediction?
Bane.
I could have sworn in the previews months ago, I saw Roseanne. But Roseanne would have been before Malcolm in the Middle, so I don't know what's going on. 3 episodes left, my friend.
Dawson's Creek? Is that 2000?
It was a sitcom, though.
Yeah.
2000s would be like Modern Family or something like that.
Oh, never seen that one.
What else was early? Scrubs, Modern Family. I'm trying to think what was early 2000s.
Like a household kind of sitcom. What would that be?
Scrubs. It'd be fun if they ripped on The Office. They just made like a document.
That would be great, especially if Mr. Fantastic shows up. He looks at the camera.
or Visions is doing the individual intro. He goes, I know Wanda loves us, but I think she's the devil.
That would be hilarious.
And or Agnes just looks at the camera, rolls her eyes.
Oh yeah, cool episode. Very, very cool episode. Like I said, it's every. Question for you: Ellis Avenue and Rolling Hill Roads. Does that mean anything to you?
The only Ellis comic book connection I can make is Ellis is the president in the MCU. We learned or at least in Iron Man 3, he's the president. I'm sure his term's over by now. But Ellis is the name of the president that him and Iron Patriot rescue. Mm-hmm. And then Warren Ellis is a writer, a fairly famous comic book writer, but I don't think he ever wrote Vision or Scarlet Witch in any form. I could be wrong though, because I did stop reading in like 2008, so maybe he did something after.
Yeah.
Rolling Hill, no, not really. Rolling Hill didn't mean anything to me. I wanted to bring up the commercial. I was on board with your or whoever's theory.
Yo Magic.
That the commercials were related to the stones. And there's not an obvious one here, at least I don't think. The only thing I could come up with is the Vision doesn't. No, all right. Vision and Scarlet Witch get their powers from the Mind Stone, not the Soul Stone. The Soul Stone is the stone that's on Vormir that someone has to die to get it. So, I thought the commercial, if it's referencing a gem, it's referencing the Soul Stone because when the kid, whatever, not disintegrates, when he decomposes, you have his skull and he's wearing a red shirt. So all I was thinking was red. He's by himself, and it's the red. I don't know.
That was a very disturbing commercial.
It was very odd.
I mean, just for commercials, like that one just didn't make it. Like the previous ones made sense as a standalone commercial. Yeah. This is a kid like he's literally trying to open up the candy, and he's like he can't do it. Yeah, and he dies. It was like, wow, that's a very dramatic look.
I'm like, bite it, use your teeth.
Yeah, that was,
Otherwise, I can't. I mean, Yo Magic, it's magic. I don't know, like. This is something I really, really examined. I really couldn't pull anything out of it except for that red skull thing. And even that's kind of a tenuous thing.
I'm trying to think.
Because I'm thinking, does the shark mean anything? There's a crab on the island. Does the crab mean anything?
Hey, you know what? Okay, well, I know we're getting close to the end of the show, but all right. So in that commercial, that kid could not use magic to open something, right? Wait, hold on. And then there's some some scenes where Wanda's magic doesn't work. So I wonder if there's a connection with that, like showing like not all magic can undo other people's magic. How about that? That's why like anything created by Mephisto, her magic doesn't work. Like Scott Summers and what's the brother's name?
Havoc.
Like the two brothers, their powers cancel each other out. And that's why Wanda's magic doesn't work on other magic, because it's like magic versus magic. Doesn't work. So in this commercial, Yo Magic. Magic. All right, I'm done.
You said magic a lot there, dude. You all right?
Yeah, that's what I got out of the commercial. My notes are closing the notebook.
I'm just make sure I guess.
See, I'm taking freaking notes now. Rolling Hills, Darcy the Hacker.
I'm working more on these WandaVision episodes than I did in college.
No argument there.
If we went to college. I know. I was gonna say we went to college together. I'm not even exaggerating.
Can you? No, never mind. I was going to say
later.
Oh, what? But it's so funny. Your sign language final. Okay.
You got to remember. I don't remember it.
You told me that you never showed up to class.
Oh yeah. All right. So all right. You want to tell the story? I don't know. It has nothing to do with WandaVision.
I know, but it is. I love the story.
Did I tell you the story recently?
No, you told this to me like decades ago.
Oh, I might forget because I'm thinking about the story. I don't know what's funny, but you tell me what I missed.
Okay, so this is what I remember. That something about I don't know why you weren't.
All right, so let me set it up. So it's senior year. I'm taking BS courses that you just need to fill out your credit requirements, right? Like what they call electives, I guess. Yeah. Like I just needed X amount of classes to get X amount. Like all my major stuff was done, and I took a sign language course, and I went the first couple of times. I found it boring. I never went to class. I knew what the final was. I showed up for the final. The final, I had to do a nursery rhyme or a fairy tale using sign language. So since I never went to class, I just went to the library. I learned the Three Little Pigs in sign language. I went there. I performed it. And I feel like I did a good job on it. And the teacher says to me, she goes, well, basically, she's like, well, A, thanks for coming to class. I was like, well, it's the final. And she's like, B, that was, and I can't remember. She's like, that's this type of sign language. We were learning American Sign Language here. And I said something, I was like, like, why are there two different forms of sign language or something like that? So I wound up getting a D. So I got the credits for it, but I didn't do great.
So the part that you told me was, I think you were trying to get some credit or something. So instead of doing the sign language for like pig, you were like spelling out P-I-G or something.
Oh yeah, because if I couldn't find, why is that funny though? If I couldn't find the word,
because it refers referencing back that you were goofing off in school.
Oh, that was going on. Yeah. So if I couldn't find like the word, the sign for the actual word pig, any word I couldn't
You were spelling
the actual sign for, I would spell it out. I'm not like a pro. I did have the alphabet. I had the American Sign Language alphabet down because it was the first thing we learned, and I was there for I showed up for like the first 3 weeks of school for that class. So I learned the alphabet. I still know it actually.
Oh,
The
good
American
God!
Sign
Angelica knows sign language. She was doing sign language before she was even speaking. We used to communicate through sign language when she was a baby.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know this was Let's Brag About Our Children hour. So, anyway, so I would.
Oh,
yeah,
Angelica was a
out,
royalty the other day. So yes,
yeah,
beautiful.
I would spell out the letters of words I couldn't find because I literally took one sign language dictionary from the library and said, okay, Three Little Pigs or whatever I did. Yeah, I think it was Three Little Pigs.
Can you imagine how long that story would have taken if you had to spell out every single letter?
Yeah, it would have been. Yeah, SOL.
All right. Yeah, sidetrack. Yeah. Anything else?
No, I guess come back next week for more rousing stories of my college days. Or more importantly, come back for WandaVision episode 7. Miles Basic Collectibles on Instagram. That's me. Alan is Dr. Indiana Jones and Dr. Indiana Jones Jr.
Ooh, with the snaps. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. I think I'm going to do a video today. I think.
Nice.
I think on my playset that I got today. Playset. Yeah. That's it, right?
Instagram, YouTube. What's our email address? NerdInMe@gmail.com.
NerdInMePodcast@gmail.com.
Okay. Yeah, that's it. We'll be back next week. Oh, stay tuned for after you download this. Wait another day, and you'll have our Valentine's Day episode.
Oh yes, and listen to the very, very end. Very, very cool stuff.
Nerd. Okay, now I have to listen to it.
Till next time.
Who's your
For the
accent?
children.
Peace.